The people who quietly get ahead rarely make noise about it. They just make a few smart moves everyone else misses. Here are 12. You've probably watched it happen. Someone at your job keeps rising. Not the loudest person in the room. Not the one begging for attention in every meeting. Just someone who seems to move up while everyone else grinds. And it looks like luck. It isn't. It's a pattern. A small set of quiet behaviors that reshape how your brain and everyone else's brain sees you. Neuroscience has a name for a lot of this. It's the way trust, memory, and social status are built inside the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that runs judgment and decision-making. The people who master these moves don't work harder than you. They work in a way your coworkers' brains quietly remember. Let's start with the first one, because most people get it backwards. The first quiet move is protecting your reputation before you protect your ego. Smart people almost never defend themselves in the moment. When someone criticizes their work, they pause, listen, and respond calmly. Here's the science. Under stress, your amygdala, the brain's threat sensor, hijacks the prefrontal cortex. That's why we snap. But when you slow your response by even a few seconds, the prefrontal cortex comes back online. Why it works is simple. Coworkers remember composure far longer than they remember the argument itself. Calm reads as competence in the brain. Try this today. When criticized, breathe once, then say, "That's a fair point, let me think about it." You keep your dignity and you keep your leverage. The next move is even quieter, and it's the one most people never even notice they're missing. The second move is doing your best work when no one is watching. Smart people don't perform, they build. Your brain rewards visible effort with dopamine, the reward chemical, which is why we love being praised. But quiet effort trains something better, called intrinsic motivation, and it makes your work sharper because it's not shaped by applause. Managers notice the pattern later. They see clean output, steady delivery, no drama, and their brain files you under reliable. Reliable people get chosen when it matters. Start with one task this week that no one asked for, and do it exceptionally, not for credit, for the pattern it builds in you. Which brings us to something almost no one talks about, but it changes how far you go. The third move is learning to listen like you mean it. Not nodding, not waiting to talk, actually absorbing. When you truly listen, mirror neurons in the listener's brain sync with the speaker's. People literally feel understood at a neural level, and they remember who made them feel that way. At work, this quietly gives you power. People share more, trust more, and bring you into rooms you weren't invited to before. The action is small. In your next conversation, don't plan your reply while they talk. Just listen, then repeat back one line of what you heard before you respond. And speaking of what people remember, the next move is about something your coworkers are unconsciously tracking every day. The fourth move is guarding your consistency. Smart people show up the same on Monday as they do on Friday. Same tone, same effort, same standard. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. When your behavior is predictable in a good way, other people's brains stop spending energy trying to figure you out. That energy turns into trust. Inconsistent people, even talented ones, quietly get passed over because they feel like a risk. Consistent people feel like a safe bet. Pick one behavior this week, showing up on time, replying within a day, keeping your promises, and hold it without exception. Now, the fifth one is where most ambitious people accidentally sabotage themselves. The fifth move is knowing when to stay quiet in a meeting. Not every thought needs a stage. Smart people speak less, but when they speak, the room listens. There's a real brain reason for this. It's called the scarcity effect. Rare signals feel more valuable to the brain than constant ones. Constant talkers get tuned out. The people who speak once, clearly and with substance, get remembered as the sharpest voice in the room, even if they said the least. Before your next meeting, pick one thing to contribute, one clear point, then let the rest of the room fill the air. But staying quiet isn't the same as being invisible, and the next move is how the quiet ones stay seen. The sixth move is making your manager's job easier without being asked. Smart people don't wait for tasks, they spot friction and remove it. Your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical, when someone reduces your load. Managers may not name it, but they feel it and they remember you as someone who lowers their stress. This isn't sucking up, it's strategic empathy. You solve one recurring problem, quietly, and you become indispensable without ever asking to be. Look at your manager's week. Find one thing that annoys them or slows them down. Handle it before they notice. Which leads to a move that separates the people who climb from the people who stall. The seventh move is documenting your wins without bragging. Smart people keep a private record. Projects finished, problem solved, feedback received. The brain has a tricky feature. It forgets your successes far faster than it remembers your failures. That's called negativity bias. and it's why smart, capable people underestimate themselves in reviews. A quiet record fixes that. When it's time for a raise, a promotion, or a new role, you're not scrambling. You're prepared, specific, and impossible to overlook. Open a note today. Write 3 things you accomplished this quarter. Add to it every Friday. That's it. And the next move is the one your coworkers will never see, but it's the one that quietly determines your ceiling. The 8th move is choosing who you learn from carefully. Smart people study one person above them and one person outside their field. The brain absorbs behavior through observation, wiring new neural pathways just by watching, thanks to those same mirror neurons. Who you watch shapes who you become. If you spend all day watching people who complain, you'll mirror complaining. If you watch someone who thinks 2 steps ahead, your brain will start doing the same. Pick one person at your company whose thinking you admire. Watch how they move. Read what they read. It costs nothing and rewires you slowly. Now we're getting into the moves that most people never even realize are separating them from the top. The 9th move is protecting your energy like it's your salary. Smart people don't burn themselves out proving how hard they work. When you run on chronic stress, cortisol, the stress hormone, stays elevated. Elevated cortisol shrinks the prefrontal cortex over time, which means worse decisions, worse judgment, worse memory. You get slower even as you try harder. The people ahead of you aren't grinding 24/7. They're rested, focused, and sharp when it counts. Guard one boundary this week, a real lunch. No email after a certain hour. Sleep before midnight. Your best thinking depends on it. And the 10th move might be the most underrated skill in any workplace. The 10th move is asking better questions instead of giving faster answers. Smart people know that a good question opens a door. A good answer can't. Questions activate the default mode network in the other person's brain, the region tied to reflection and insight. You make people think, and they associate that clarity with you. Bosses, clients, and peers start seeing you as thoughtful, strategic, someone who elevates the conversation instead of just filling it. In your next meeting, replace one statement with a question. What would success look like here? Is a good place to start, which sets up the second to last move, and it's one people almost never talk about because it looks like doing nothing. The 11th move is being patient with recognition. Smart people don't chase credit in the moment. They let the results speak, and they trust time. The brain overweights recent events. It's called recency bias. Chasing immediate praise gives you a quick dopamine hit, but it burns social capital. People start seeing you as needy instead of skilled. The ones who quietly get ahead let their track record accumulate. Over months, over projects, over years, the pattern becomes undeniable, and the promotion, the offer, the opportunity finds them. Next time you finish something great, resist announcing it. Let one other person mention it first. Watch how differently it lands. And the 12th move is the one that ties every other move together, and it's the one most people never even attempt. The 12th move is building a reputation for telling the truth kindly. Smart people don't flatter and they don't attack. They say what's real, gently, and consistently. Your brain is wired to detect deception, even subtly. When someone senses honesty, trust circuits in the brain light up. When they sense flattery, those same circuits go cold, even if they can't explain why. Honest people become the ones others confide in, the ones leaders trust with hard decisions, the ones who end up in the rooms where the real choices get made. Practice this one small way. When someone asks your opinion, tell them what you actually think, kindly and without hedging. Once you're known for that, everything else opens. Now pull all 12 back together for a second. Notice what none of them require. None of them require louder talking. None of them require more hours. None of them require more hours. None of them require politics or performance. They all just require you to be a little more thoughtful, a little more consistent, and a little more honest than the room around you. And that's the quiet truth about getting ahead. It rarely looks like hustle. It looks like a person who chose their behavior on purpose, day after day, until the results were impossible to ignore. If you've ever felt overlooked at work, this is your reminder that you're probably closer than you think. You don't need a new personality. You just need a few better patterns. So here's a question worth answering in the comments. Which of these 12 moves are you going to start with this week? I read them, and honestly, the answers tell me more about you than any resume could. If this resonated, you'll probably get even more out of the video on how the highest performers actually think, because it pairs with these moves in a way that makes each one hit harder. And if you want more of this, calm, practical brain habits every week designed to make your life sharper without the noise, subscribe and turn on the bell. It's the quietest way to keep building something better, because the people who get ahead aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones whose habits keep working long after the room has gone home.